Anything new and exciting?
I entered the 40s. My 40s.
You entered the 40s?
My 40s. Like, it was my birthday over the weekend. Remember?
Oh. It was your 40th?
Yeah, it was my 40th. It's your 40th this year, too.
Yeah, but August feels like so far away.
You thought I was turning 39, and then you were going to turn 40, and then suddenly I was younger than you? Is that what you...
I didn't give it any thought. God. Well, did you get your present?
No.
Don't lie. It was delivered.
No, I don't. What was it?
It
was a Brian Cox.
Yes!
Yes, you sent that. I was trying to figure out who the hell sent that to me. Because it said nothing of where it came from.
I thought I included a note.
No.
Did you already have it?
No, I didn't know. But I have definitely heard about it because he's such a bitch. Was what I've heard.
Like, I figured it was kind of like buying a People magazine.
Yeah.
Like, at that level. It's not like we're talking high-level film stuff.
Right.
We're talking some gossipy shit. And I bought it for myself, too, and I've just read the prologue.
Well, thank you. Now that makes sense. I guess I didn't put it together that you sent it.
Yeah. I wanted to get it for Christmas. Ran out of money. I mean, it wasn't expensive, but... I just crossed you off my list.
Oh, this one is signed, actually. I don't know if you realize that. It says, "Suck my cocks."
Welcome, everyone, to the second segment of our Halloween series, where we are today talking about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Halloween 3. I think one of the biggest problems with this movie is that it's called Halloween 3 and not Horny Doctor Investigates Crime. Or if this movie was a Sherlock Holmes movie, this would be an excellent Sherlock Holmes movie, if that makes sense. Like, if you just strip it away, you make that doctor a genius detective, and he comes across a mystery that he has to solve, I think we're good.
This movie is good in that nobody was going to love it at all when it came out, but it was made so unintentionally funny that you will love it decades later. That's where it is. So I don't think it matters that it was a Halloween movie or not.
I really don't like this movie. People talk about the critical reevaluation of it.
Yeah, I don't love it, but it definitely was pretty entertaining.
It's absolutely fine. Tom Atkins, like the star of this movie, you look at him and you think, God, do I know him? But you kind of spend the entire movie trying to remember if you know who he was. And that's why I thought it was a good segue. Who the hell is this guy? I'm looking at his filmography. He has continuously worked a lot of nothing. Like, I don't think this guy ever really... He was in Maniac Cop as a detective.
He did some 70s TV.
Yep. He was in Lethal Weapon. Was he a bad guy in Lethal Weapon?
I don't remember. I haven't seen Lethal Weapon in a long time. I'm sure we'll cover it on this podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4. He's fifth build. So he might have been like a main henchman or like an angry captain or something along those lines.
Yeah.
We'll find out someday. Yeah, Lethal Weapon would be fun.
Well, you see him in this role and you say, he's not a doctor. I don't know what it is. My wife thought it was the hair color, which I thought was a pretty funny way to think about it. She's like, doctors just don't have that hair color. I said, I think it's the stash. However, 1982, you could definitely have that stash. He's like top heavy, like he was built. Everything about him, it's like you can't just put on a lab coat and call me a doctor. Like right from the beginning, that felt like the first misstep of this film is that he was a doctor. He should have been like a truck driver.
Yes. It would have been a better movie because his reasoning, his rationale for doing what he's doing, just nonsense. He doesn't look like a doctor. And so this is 82, probably shot in 81. I mean, we are talking the last holdovers of the 70s. It's like a weird, like, it's almost like he'd transformed into the 80s, but was halfway there, is how I describe his look. Wow. I don't even know where to start with this movie.
I think you have to start with how the other two ended. So, of course, you have John Carpenter's famous classic Halloween, which we spoke about,
sure,
and Halloween 2.
Yes.
And that was Laurie Strode's story, Jamie Lee Curtis. And it effectively ended. Halloween, surprise smash hit. Of course you're going to make a sequel. Here comes the sequel. John Carpenter doesn't want to direct, but he and his producer, Debra Hill, are like, we'll be a part of it. We'll write it. We'll help you. They make Halloween 2 and put it to bed because that's what you do. There's no such thing as really a franchise at that point. It's just You make a sequel that was a hit. This one will make money too. We're ending Michael Myers. So I think they did a smart thing, especially for that time period where somebody was just like, I like the Halloween franchise name, or I like the Halloween name. Why don't we franchise it? Because it can be anything. And we'll come up with this third story that has nothing to do with Michael Myers. We'll anthology this thing and we'll just take it off in another direction. And that's where the genesis of this came from. And then it's the last, I think, important factor is that it was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who was a Carpenter guy. Like, he worked on all of his movies, especially Halloween and Halloween 2, and now he gets the chance to write and direct and came up with this wild story.
The concept of an anthology series, it's smart. And it's a smart mistake, I think is the better way to put it. Because you have Carpenter and Hill, who, again, like their money, but they want to do something tasteful with it. And you pit that against producers of horror schlock who know the business and just want to put out horror schlock to make money. That will eventually end in disappointment, I think.
Yeah, it's like they came up with a story that definitely was different from a slasher film, and then once they saw a cut of it, the producer's like, we need some more gore. So then you kind of slasher it up a little bit, but it doesn't really fit as much. The gore just seemed extraneous to me.
This story it's the only thing that saves this nonsense. Since this isn't really a slasher, this is a murder mystery
with like a supernatural elements.
What is the rationale? We have a toy maker who wants to... Is his goal just to kill all of the children?
Do you remember the movie Cabin in the Woods?
The Joss Whedon one? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that was a new version of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Because the idea behind that is that they needed to sacrifice to the gods, right? To appease them. Wasn't that the whole thing about that movie?
Yes.
It was really wild and out there. Well, this is what Halloween 3 is, and he explains it. Connell Cochran, is that his name? The head Irish dude. So Cochran explains that, like, back in the old days, Halloween used to mean sacrifice to witches. And I'm bringing that back. We're sacrificing the children to appease Samhain, which is the pagan ritual that popped up in Halloween 2. Something that they gave some reason why Michael was this evil or whatever on Halloween is like Samhain. It's this old pagan ritual that makes people crazy, and the dead actually rise from the grave and they kill and whatever. So that's what he was doing. He was trying to sacrifice children to appease the witches. And the way he went about it is what makes this movie so batshit.
Yeah, he sold Halloween masks because that's all they've ever done. Novelties and masks. And he also built an army of robot henchmen. Is there an explanation other than I built them?
He had a kind of a big monologue when he was walking the doctor through the factory, so he may have explained just a little tidbits here and there.
This is a movie that demanded booze, so if I have a hazy
lost.
memory of the last half hour.
Yeah. Well, it starts off okay with this guy running. He's carrying a Halloween mask, and he's running from these guys that turn out to be the android robots. And you don't really know why. He's just afraid of them, and they end up killing him. And then he goes to the hospital, and that's where the doctor, let's call him the doctor, Daniel Chalice, I think is his name. He works there, and there's something weird about the guy because he tells him before he dies, they're coming for all of us, blah, 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 blah. And then he dies, right? So then the doctor thinks that's weird. What does he mean by that? Why is he clutching this Halloween mask? And then the daughter of that guy pops up, and her name is Ellie, because she also wants to get to the bottom of why her father went crazy. And that's really what takes this whole movie off.
I hope this podcast doesn't finish with me liking this movie, but I really like that setup right there. And once we have the details later, we can fill in those gaps. Her father owns a novelty store, and he was going to the warehouse to pick up a shipment, and he must have stumbled across some kind of test, got freaked out, ran off with one of the masks. There could have been like 30 minutes, a good TV episode of his hijinks that we just never see, and I appreciate that.
Everything's fine with this company, Silver Shamrock, that produces masks, but if for some reason you get a little too close to what they're doing, they send their robot henchmen to take care of you so you don't spill the beans. And then the same thing happens when the doctor and the daughter, Ellie, go to the place. And then she sees like her father's car there, and it's just clear that something's going on. And then that's why the androids start going after them.
And so let's explain this a little more. So the doctor's getting divorced. Not a great dad. He keeps blowing off picking up his kids.
His ex-wife is the actress that played Annie from the first Halloween, the friend who was washing her clothes. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Nice. One of the problems of the movie is he should have no reason for giving a shit, except that his main rationale for going on this trip is to nail the daughter of this dead man.
And he does.
And he does.
And here's the
is
thing.
into it.
I am all about guys getting laid because it's tough out there, you know. Even if you're an older guy too, you know. I mean, this guy gets probably not even that old. He may even be in his 30s. It's just hard to tell because it was 1982. He's got a stash, but she's definitely in her 20s. And she is so hot for him, and there is no reason for it. And then later we see that she actually brought like a little sexy outfit too. So it was on her mind right from the get-go. My father's dead, and he was murdered clearly, but I really need to get laid. And this doctor is numero uno in my book right now. You know, and the other thing is why does he give a shit? It's because like his wife is a horrible woman, but he failed as a husband, so that probably is what drove her over the edge. He's not a very good father. There's a sexy young girl that needs his help. So he's just like, yeah, all right, what else do I got going on? So I think that's why he kind of makes it his business to go and find out why her father got killed. And what is weird about this Silver Shamrock company that builds Halloween masks right there, very strange. It's called Silver Shamrock. It's an Irish company that immigrated to America and just has cornered the Halloween mask market, I guess. Like the whole town is run by this company, basically.
Sticking with the doctor for just a second, once he's gotten what he wanted from this woman, is his final motivation to save her once she's kidnapped just the hope that he'll get laid again? Otherwise, there is no reason for any, like, it's literally the only motivation for the movie that I can think of.
I think if you think throughout history, the only motivation for any man who's done anything ever, including wars and becoming president and just doing cool things, is for women. So it follows. It tracks.
She's such a non-entity that I don't even remember her character's name.
She's one of the better parts of the movie, but they don't give her much to do.
She gets kidnapped by the robots because they're getting too close, even though they have no idea what's going on. So the doctor goes to the factory to find her. He's very lucky because the owner of the factory, Cochran, is there to explain everything to him, so that he's not confused before he dies.
There was a little bit of a foreshadowing earlier where they were talking about Stonehenge. Everybody know about Stonehenge? Out in England, the rocks that somebody put to form some sort of weird thing. I don't know, aliens or pyramids or whatever it has to do with anything.
I forgot Stonehenge was part of this.
So they mention it, and like one of the stones was stolen. Don't ask how. Seems like a very difficult thing to steal. But that was mentioned in a news report, and now later we find out that it was stolen by Cochran. It's in his factory, and there's some sort of power that comes from Stonehenge, and every Halloween mask has a little silver shamrock medallion on it with a circuit board inside, microchip, if you will, containing some portion of the rock, like a little dust or something from Stonehenge, and it allows him to control the masks. I don't know, take it from there. It's bizarre, but it's unique.
Yeah, you said it all. That's really it.
That's really it, but there's one important part that we have not discussed yet, and maybe the most famous thing from Halloween 3, the jingle, the commercial jingle.
The fucking song.
Yes. Oh, everybody loves that song. 8 more days till Halloween.
Halloween.
I mean, it's London Bridge is falling down, but it's just like Carpenter came up with that, like, that like just gets in your brain and you know what it is right when you hear it.
My experience with this song is I had to learn the hard way that when you run a disc in an Xbox, it supersedes the Xbox's auto turn off function. Like it'll time itself out and just shut off. Oh, but not with the DVD in there. So that song will play on a loop because that's the song that plays
on
the menu screen.
Of course it is.
And so you wake up having heard it subliminally in your head 100 times, and then you go off and kill your whole family, and it's terrible.
I used to fall asleep to DVDs a lot when I was younger, and the thing I liked, the ones I liked the most were the ones that would go to the menu screen and put it for only like a minute, and if you didn't do anything, it would start playing the movie again. Those are the best kind.
So there is another scene that needs to be talked about, and that's where Cochran, thinking this is the last time they're ever going to do business, is just being kind of evil for the hell of it, and he takes his top salesman from across the country,
Right.
and his daughter and son, and decides to test the masks on them to show the doctor what he's up to. He really wants to explain his evil plan to whoever is really going to listen. So he tells it to a guy he's never met before and has no malice towards. And so they take the guys into a quiet room, and the kid's wearing the mask. And we have one of the best uses of practical special effects that I've seen, where this kid gets killed and then spiders and bugs come out of his mouth.
Yeah, it was
and
gross.
As his body decays, and it's disgusting, and it's sad because this is an innocent kid that's being killed for no reason, and all the snakes coming out of his mouth really just creep me out.
The idea is that they play the song, that jingle, on TV at 9 p.m. There'll be a new part to the jingle where there'll be a pumpkin that's like a strobing effect, and that interacts with the chip on the masks and somehow produces bugs and creatures and decays their faces and kills children around the country. That's the whole plan. That's what Cochran wants to do. So I think that's why he kills his main salesman, because this is it for him. Like, they're not coming back from this. Like, this is his ultimate achievement. Yeah, like the he's not worried about selling more masks next year. That's how
the cops are going to figure this shit out.
There's going to be millions of children dead across the country. That's his idea, bringing Halloween back to what it was supposed to be, this bizarre pagan ritual.
So how does the movie end?
Well, it turns out after the doctor saves Ellie, she's a robot. She was replaced, I guess, or turned into one. I don't know. But they escape. Well, before that, he takes all the medallions because they interact with the commercial. He plays the commercial in the factory, dumps all the medallions. They go crazy. They start shooting lasers everywhere. They kill all the robots. Cochran, like, I guess Stonehenge is now, the Rock is angry at Cochran. So it, like, kills him too or something, like shoots a laser into him, and now he's dead. I don't know. So anyway, the doctor and Ellie escape. So the commercial's still out there. The children around the country are still wearing the masks. He and Ellie have got to get the word out. We got to pull this commercial. But she turns out to be a robot, tries to kill him on the road. That's probably one of the worst scenes, just because it's just so stupid. It actually was so stupid, it reminded me of the way Carpenter directed Jamie Lee Curtis in the original one, where it's like, no, don't turn around. Just slowly get up. You know he's dead. He's not going to get up. And then, of course, Michael Myers it's just the worst piece of direction I've seen in a horror movie. So they redo it. This fight with this robot Ellie just goes on forever. It's really lame.
Wait, let's back up. Ellie, the co-star of the movie, is a robot.
Or she, like, got replaced by one, so the one he saved was a robot, but she's actually dead or something. I don't think she was always a robot.
Okay.
I mean, if she was always a robot, why would she have let him get this far?
Right. But if she was always a robot, it was some evil plan to get this doctor to the warehouse. And also, he didn't actually hook up with the 20-year-old. He just banged a robot, which makes him even a bigger loser.
I think she was actually a real person until she got abducted. Still, the one he saved at the factory followed him around for a while he was killing all the other robots and Cochran himself. So why did Robot Ellie help him do that, or not stop him from doing that, and only took him out when they were driving away after burning the place up? I don't know.
This movie
don't think
sucks
about it too much.
Yeah, it sucks. It's bad.
The movie, here's the thing. I think the movie's good on paper. Like, I think they actually came up with something really unique and original, but they lacked the budget and the actual good choices in casting and direction and prop making that would have made the movie, I think, look and sound better. I don't know. It just seemed like it failed on a low budget, but the script called for more.
There are strings of a really great movie.
That's pretty much it. Well, he survives the Ellie robot attack, and then he goes to a gas station, and he apparently calls the 3 main broadcasting networks to get them to pull the commercials, and only 2 of them do. It ends with the Body Snatchers ending, right? Where it's like, there's no hope for humanity. How could you do this? You have to stop it. You have to stop it. Ah! End of movie. So apparently millions of children are still dead. That's the movie.
Halloween, the first one, budget $325,000, makes $60-70 million.
Yeah, huge.
Halloween 2, budget of $2.5 million, makes $25.5 million. So we're seeing diminishing returns even with the sequel. Mm-hmm. Halloween,
but it still
3,
made money.
Same budget, $2.5 million. It makes $14.4 million. Yeah. They decide, bad premise.
That anthology idea did not work, is what they were. what they thought.
We need to go and change it up.
Yeah, and like 6 years goes by before they have another one. So I bet like it fails, and they probably just put the nail in it, and we're like, oh yeah, this Halloween thing's over. Yep. But for some reason, I think the producer at some point came along and was just like, I want to give Halloween another shot. The only logical thing to do is to make it a continuation of number 2.
The only real gap at the beginning was Halloween 2. That was 78 to 81. Halloween 3 was immediate. It was 82. It was out. They had shelved this bad boy. With this, Carpenter Hill, they mess around with the idea of continuing. They had already prepped an idea for part 4 in the anthology where it was going to be about ghosts.
Right.
Totally scrapped. They hired a guy to write a script, wrote the script. Producers don't like it. Hill and Carpenter, they sell off their rights to the Halloween franchise. And so this is the first time that we don't really have their active involvement.
But we still got his song.
We still get his song.
I like that they were part of 3. That helped make the movie better to me, is that they were down with it.
Yeah.
It's a very Carpenter-esque kind of movie, I think, anyway. Like, it's out there, and they tried something, and it was a failure, but I kind of like that they saw it through. But people were missing Michael Myers. That's what I'm thinking. And this movie came out in 88. And since there was a 6-year gap, I think it kind of made it feel like an event. Even I was kind of excited to be like, after watching 3, to be like, okay, I am curious how they come back with Michael again.
I think that's how they framed it in the advertising of this movie.
Well, that's all that matters. That's what I mean.
Yeah, like, I think there's a little difference between reality and how they've consistently sold Michael Myers. No matter what we say about this movie, they doubled the budget to $5 million, and it only earned $17.8 million. So it actually
it still didn't do great.
It actually made less money than Halloween 3 did, if you really think about it. This movie, though, what are your thoughts overall before we talk about the plot?
I really liked it. I thought it looked good. I thought it was the best directed film in the Halloween franchise so far.
God,
I know that could give me a slap in the face because I know Carpenter did the first one. I'm telling you though, this one looked good. It looked good. It sounded good. Everybody was cast really well. It was paced very, very well. It's like they made the first movie again, and yet they changed it up just enough to make you okay with it even existing. So I think that was good. However, after seeing the whole thing, there were some exciting parts, but overall, you're kind of just watching Halloween again, and it didn't stand out to me as a great continuation, but it is what it is.
I'm making a lot of hand motions.
Am I getting to something? Are you expecting me to get to something?
While you're explaining that, because I felt the same way, and it really... There was a current movie sequel that it really reminded me of. It reminded me of all of the legacy sequels that we are getting nowadays.
Yeah, it does feel very much like the brand new Halloween.
I haven't seen that yet, so shush. But my review was very simple. It was The Force Awakens of the Halloween franchise. We're taking the original story idea, slotting in younger characters, and bringing back some old characters to help ease a transition into the franchise. And it really is just a color by number of the original movie with some changes. And I loved it for it. I was trying to think if this was... I mean, it's only a 7-year gap between seeing Michael Myers, so I don't know if it can really call it a legacy sequel, but...
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the story's concerned, it's 10 years later.
Right. And this was right around with The Color of Money, which was one of the first legacy sequels that I could think of.
The thing I wanted to know the most was, what batshit logic-defying reason are they going to come up with to explain how Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis are still around? Because if you watch the end of Halloween 2, which I'm sure our audience has, he blows the fuck up. Like, Loomis blows him and Michael Myers up. And then Michael Myers, who's completely covered in flames, walks out and dies on the ground, melts away. So what do? They got a little burnt.
Yeah, they were just a little badly burnt. It's fine.
That's it.
He was in a coma.
Didn't even worry about it, which is what I loved. They were like, oh, no, he's fine. And Loomis shows up. He's got a little bit of makeup scar on his cheek. That's it. So, just hey, whatever. That they got past that. So I'm like, all right, I guess they're back in the movie. So Michael's been in a coma for 10 years from this accident that happened in 2. And he's just been in an insane asylum. Now, the thing they don't explain, but is this where it starts the trope where they have to convoy a patient from one to the next hospital for no reason whatsoever?
He was in a federal asylum and he was being transferred to, like, I think just a regular asylum.
After 10 years of being in a coma, this is when they decided to do it. Like, it just didn't make any sense, but I was like, all right, whatever.
After 10 years, they were like, it's the 10-year rule. If he hasn't woken up by then, he gets into...
It's the 10-year rule.
Yeah, that's a thing in psychiatry.
Okay. Again, doesn't need a big explanation, but I just wonder if that was one of the first movies to do that, because that has become something where you have to transfer, and that's where the problems arise. In between A to B is when the person escapes.
Yeah, pretty common issue.
Yeah.
The rationale here is somewhere along the path of his transfer, one of the guys mentions that his sister, Lori, who is dead, implied to be dead or dead. I did not remember.
Her and her husband were apparently killed in a car accident. Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Lori, is dead.
So they figure out, or they mentioned that he has a niece. And and the idea is almost like Michael's in a coma because he knows Lori's dead and he has no reason to wake up. But the
I like that.
second,
yeah, that's true.
The second he realizes that he has a living niece is when he wakes up, slaughters everybody, and starts the walk back to Haddonfield.
The idea, I guess, when you watch the movie is that he just needs to kill his relation. Like, that's it. That's his only motivation, is he has to kill her. But at the same time, I read something that somebody said their feeling about it is that Michael wants to connect with his relation, but he's so evil that the only way he knows how is to murder. Which I thought was another interesting take. He's just trying to be intimate in his own way with his own relation. But this is how he knows how to go about it, is to physically harm somebody.
You talked about it in the last episode that a demon has basically been living inside Michael Myers this whole time, and that's why he's supernatural. And I've always taken it as he is hunting his bloodline because the demon knows that he's compatible and he wants to pass the demon on to the next generation almost. Now that he knows that Jamie's in the picture, he wants to give Jamie the demon.
And honestly, it can be two things.
But
I think that works really well. And they should probably follow up on that.
I mean, the fun part is that they only ever, like you were talking about last episode, they only ever really halfway allude to this background story. And again, every good movie doesn't need to be fully explained, but they can leave little clues here and there.
So young Jamie is Laurie's daughter, and she has a foster parents.
Yep.
Because her parents are dead. Foster sister named...
We got Rachel.
Rachel, yes, okay. Yeah. So Jamie and Rachel, yeah. And Jamie's been having like nightmares about Michael Myers.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't know how she would know what he looks like.
They appear to have like a psychic connection.
Yeah, that's also what I was feeling. But they didn't really get into that too far, but there was some sort of connection. But it's Halloween again. He escapes. He gets back to Haddonfield. He wants to find her. There's some disposable characters. There's a sexy little love triangle going on. She's always wearing a t-shirt, no pants. Rachel kind of has a boyfriend, but he starts messing with that girl. I don't know.
We can't talk about 80s horror without talking about the level of nudity, but were there any boobs in this movie?
Not really. You had some like side boob.
Was there side boob? Okay, if we have to get that picky at side boob, then I'm gonna say it's not really a nudity-based movie, which is rare.
I was a little. I was disappointed because I was like, it seems like there could have been more, and there should have been more because it's one of those movies.
But in all fairness, I give them respect. Like, I'm okay with showing my kids horror movies. Like, I let them watch whatever they want. But I draw the line at any kind of sexuality. So I really appreciate a franchise like Halloween where the sexuality is pretty limited.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
As opposed to Friday the 13th where it's like you can't go 10 minutes without seeing a tit. And
no, that's true.
Really hard.
There's got to be a middle. There's got to be a middle line here.
Ever since I became a father, I don't know if I've watched a single Friday the 13th movie in fullness, and that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing this movie does well is they may not explain a lot, but they don't have characters acting ridiculous, which, again, my criticism of Halloween 1 and 2 is that the characters are just not doing obvious things. They're just doing things to move the plot along, but nobody would do that. You'd scream, you'd let somebody know, you'd call the cops, you'd do something. So this movie, like Dr. Loomis, is now chasing Michael again. Same thing as the first movie. But he's having actual trouble getting to Haddonfield. His car gets blown up because he finds Michael in the gas station auto body. Because, of course, Michael's got to find his coverall, so he has to steal it from an auto worker. A great shot when they reveal him standing there, by the way.
Yes.
It's a well-directed film by Dwight Little, I think his name. He's done a bunch of other stuff. So, Loomis's car blows up. He has trouble getting there. But when he goes to the police station, the police believe him after some obvious questions. Like, oh, you say he's already killed some people? I haven't heard anything about that. Hey, Larry, call the state troopers. Let's get that clarified. Which, that's all you really needed to say is like, okay, yeah, once he calls, he's going to find out. And they remember the events of 10 years ago and how all these people got killed in Haddonfield. So the cops kind of take it seriously. And they go with Loomis. And the other thing that happened, which was fun, was that there's the posse of a bunch of drunken dudes with guns in Haddonfield, and they know what happened with Michael Myers 10 years ago, and they're not going to let that happen in their city again. So they all get their guns and get together. I'm like, yes, these are like obvious things that you would probably see happen in this city.
Yes, absolutely. Like, this movie was refreshing because it didn't fail its internal logic over and over and over. They made rational decisions, and actually, that might be one of the bad things about the movie, is horror movies aren't supposed to have rational decisions.
I mean, I think for all the rational decisions they made, there was still crazy things like Michael was apparently hiding on the bottom of the truck.
Oh, that fucking
so
scene pissed me off.
Stuff.
Oh,
yeah, they still had their things.
It's worth noting that Haddonfield loses power and phones in this process, and it's logical. You were talking about Michael at the gas station. For those who are keeping record, Michael drives once again. I was scared they were going to take it out.
He's another driver. He's a driving horror icon.
Yes.
You don't get that too much.
It's fantastic
in this franchise.
But blowing up his car is what causes the power to go out, I believe.
That's what causes the phone lines to go out, which they take pains in showing that it burns up the telephone poles. And then Michael has a little brain, a brain flash or whatever, where he's just like, I got to take out the power in the city. I don't know why, but at least they show him. So he shows up at the power plant and throws one of the workers into the power plant, and that's how the power goes out in the city. So he actually take pains to do that. I don't know. He likes it dark.
And so the police are very involved in this movie, and they are going out of their way to protect this little girl. Michael in turn responds by going to the police station and murdering all of the police.
Yeah, they didn't really show that. If you want to watch Terminator, then you get to see him actually kill everybody in the police station. Though they didn't show it, right?
No.
Did you see it? I didn't see it. They were just dead.
The other part about them acting logically that I really liked is the police all go to the police chief's house and they barricade themselves inside. And that's very smart. Like, you take a bunch of weapons, you barricade yourself inside, that. I just thought it was good. They still all get murdered.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And Michael gets the mask back because he goes to a
hardware store,
like a Walgreens or something, right?
It was like a hardware store. That was what I loved.
It was a drugstore.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I think there was rakes on the wall.
The mask just looks like the Michael Myers mask. I don't know why they would sell that, especially in Haddonfield.
No.
But that's how he gets it back. That's all. Whatever. So he's back. He's got the coveralls. He's got the mask. He's hunting Jamie. And he makes it, of course, into the house, and he kills the cops that are there. He kills the girl who was screwing Rachel's boyfriend. The boyfriend tries to protect Rachel and Jamie. He gets killed. Loomis is around, but, Loomis isn't, he's kind of his normal, sort of helps. He shoots a lot, but he doesn't really take Michael out. But it was exciting, when they got on the roof and stuff, and it made me feel like, oh man, this is going to hurt. You fall off that roof. Am I missing anything important? I don't think so.
I don't think so at all.
Jamie gets off the roof. Rachel falls off the roof. She's out for the count. Michael jumps off the roof, I guess, because he doesn't ever die. And then Loomis finds Jamie. They go to a school. He tries to protect her, but again, gets his ass kicked by Michael. And then that's when the posse shows up again. Rachel's still alive. The posse shows up. They take them to safety. They take Rachel and Jamie to safety, or try to. And then somehow Michael was hiding in the back of the truck or under the truck or whatever. He takes out all the posse. Rachel drives the truck over Michael. He ends up in this mine shaft, sort of. The cops all show up. Jamie, the young girl, goes and touches Michael. That's my uncle.
Yeah.
I just want a moment with him, please.
That was weird.
But it awakens Michael, and he's about to stab her when all the cops shoot him. He falls in the mine and is buried. And Loomis says he's in hell now. He's finally buried in hell, as he should have been. So I think that's it, right? Like, that's the movie. I don't think I missed anything important. There was no other elements that you really needed to know except Michael was taken out again. Jamie's safe. Rachel's safe.
Yeah, that was the end of the movie. I turned it off immediately.
Why would you do that?
Because it was
Did
over.
you wait for a credit or something?
No, I knew
black?
that the story was obviously over. They showed me Michael Myers dying, and so I shut it off.
Well, I got news for you. That was not the ending.
What do you mean?
Well, they all made it home.
Well, that's where they would go when the story's over, is home, yeah.
Exactly. Your foster parents are there. The cops are there. Loomis is there. You girls gonna be okay? I mean, I know you'll live with this memory forever, but... And the mom's like, well, it's bath night, so I'm gonna run a bath for Jamie, who's been wearing her Halloween costume the whole time, by the way.
What was the Halloween costume? I forget. Really?
She was a clown, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Kind of like young Michael when we first met him at the beginning of Halloween.
Oh,
so the mom's running the bath.
That was like 10 years ago. That's hard to remember.
I know. All of a sudden, we take a POV shot of someone walking through the house, grabs a mask, puts it on, grabs some scissors, and then goes and kills the mom. What is happening? And Loomis has, I think Donald Pleasence does a great ending with his reaction to seeing the person who just killed the foster mom. And who is it? It's Jamie, holding bloody scissors, looking like Michael, young Michael in the first Halloween. Apparently, she's now possessed by the demon that is Michael Myers. You didn't see that part?
Little Jamie? The girl that we just spent the whole movie trying to save?
Little Jamie.
She killed a person dressed as a clown.
But Loomis has a great reaction.
Are you messing with me? Okay, sorry.
No, I'm not. Yeah. He's like, no, why? I should be retired. I can't keep doing this. But Michael's still alive and well inside Jamie.
And then he shoots her.
I thought it was great. No, he doesn't. He tries to.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Did you see it coming? I didn't really see it coming.
No.
And the fact is, like, I've known about these movies. I've heard about them. I've definitely read that, but I just forgot it all while I was actually watching the movie. So it was nice to be surprised by that.
So yeah, this movie really pushes the boundaries of what these movies did. And once again, they set up that Michael Myers is not going to be involved in these movies anymore. I don't understand that piece.
I feel like 4 and 5 may have been planned out together.
I believe,
but I haven't watched 5 yet, so we'll see.
I believe 4, 5, and 6 are considered a trilogy.
They're called the Thorn Trilogy. But why is that?
I don't know, because I don't remember.
Understand what the thorn is. Yeah, I guess you got to see the other movies to realize what the word thorn means.
Stay tuned for our next episode covering Halloween 5 and Halloween 6.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I can't wait now because I'm curious.
Here's
the tidbit. Do you know who the young girl is? Where she pops up again? Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie, played by Danielle Harris. Most people will remember her, as I did, as the slutty neighbor on Roseanne. Friends with Darlene.
That I did not know.
Tries to steal David away from Darlene by being the slutty neighbor. Fun. She comes back for the reboot of The Connors as the same girl, and she ends up dying. Like, she dies in that continuity. But yes, she...
Wow. Hardcore.
Yeah. She's a beloved little character. I remember her very clearly. But no, she's kind of a horror queen. She was inducted into Fangoria's Horror Hall of Fame in 2012. She was also in the Halloween reboots from Rob Zombie, playing the slutty daughter of the sheriff, Annie.
Yeah, the Annie character. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Do you think she had to win that audition, or he was just like, nah, you got to do it?
I'm guessing Zombie approached her.
Is she in the 6th movie? That's what I'm waiting to find out. I don't know.
I believe she's
definitely in the 5th.
Oh, the 6th. Probably not.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I'm just going to tell you. Halloween 4, Halloween
don't
5.
Tell me. I don't want to know.
And I'm kind of enjoying this. I'm enjoying them trying to switch things up and the interesting ways they try to stitch it back together. It's fun.
But they keep doing things, as you said, where they keep ending it. But they, for some reason, do not have this foresight where it's just like, no, this is going to keep going. And I don't know why they don't have that, because it's clearly, once you start making a number 4, why wouldn't you just do a 5? Why wouldn't it just continue?
Yeah,
so
it's strange.
They keep putting themselves in holes that they have to dig themselves out of, especially now that they killed off Jamie Lee Curtis's character.
Yeah, so, I mean, clearly Halloween 5 is going to be fast. Let's make predictions. Halloween 5 is... 10 years later, Jamie Lloyd's now a crazy, let's say she's 20, and she comes back to Haddonfield to kill everyone.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen is that Halloween 5 is going to start on the stairway with Loomis screaming, but it's going to be shot from a different angle because it's going to literally continue a minute after. A second after this one ended. So that's what I'm telling you.
I'm going with 10 years later. You're going with a second after.
I'm going to say that's how it's going to begin. It's going to be a little cold open. It's going to be this end scene of 4 is the beginning scene of 5. And then it's going to say 1 year later. And she's now been committed to like a little child insane asylum. And that's where she's been for the last year.
Did you already
struggling with having? No, I haven't seen it yet, but that's what I assume is going to happen.
All right, whatever.
And she's struggling with the ghost and the demon of Michael Myers inside of her body. But she's probably fighting him. I don't think it's a total takeover. That's all I'm saying.
Well, stay tuned next episode.
Okay. Have you seen it already? Have you watched it?
No, I have not watched it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll get to it. All right, man.
Any wrapping up thoughts?
I don't think so.
And again, with their logic, this movie technically made less than 3. So by the money-chasing producer's logic, they should have switched Halloween 5 back to the anthology.
Yeah.
Like, let's try this.
But maybe at this point, they realized that they're not going to ever see Halloween money again, but they'll still make a little money. So let's just keep this franchise going.
I mean, this is nickel and dime. Like, this is such a beloved franchise, but these movies don't bring in a lot of money.
Yeah, but they're still pulling in some millions, I think.
Until the sequel. Like, the fresh reboots, I think, are the most successful of any of them. And that's interesting. But yeah, that's why horror has so much. They're cheap to make, and people like watching them.
I'd say another franchise or anthology film, I would say and I haven't seen them all, but I think the Saw movies are kind of what this wanted to be, right? Because they're sort of loosely connected, right?
No, they're
some of them connected more.
Like
super connected? Like even the Spiral one, even Chris Rock's.
That one is, that you could call more of a new entry, but all the others, like, when's the last time, have you watched all of those?
No, I saw the first one. I've never seen any other ones. I just mean that they come out every October. Like, that was the idea for a while.
Yeah,
and that's what Halloween wanted to do. They wanted to bring them out every year.
The narrative
no matter what it was.
Really tightly knit together by those Saw movies. Successfully or not, that's up for debate, but I like what they tried to do. Some of them even hop around in time and they do pull some fun curveballs like they did with the end of Halloween 4. Yeah, that's for another series.
That's for another podcast.
Yeah. But yeah,
okay.
I'm a fan. I'm excited to watch 5 and 6 and to discuss those. Any final thoughts?
I just hope the quality continues from 4 to 5. So I'm going to be let down if it looks and is directed shitty, but we'll see.
Well, that's just...
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Is Dwight H. Little directing it? That's the important part.
I don't know.
There's a lot of weird connections between Halloween and Free Willy. I'm just going to say that.
How about that?
It's very strange. No, he did not direct any of the other ones. So yeah, quality is going to go straight to hell. Yeah. So final thought, the sun is a laser. That's what I got. Please, listen to us, and tweet at us and do all sorts of fun things with us.
Do all kinds of fun things with us. I like that.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
Yeah. Adios.